Hi, Eddie Marcus here. A few moments ago, I was talking to you on part one, Heaven part one, and I was ending that segment talking about the system and laws. And I had just stated, and am stating again for those of you who are hearing it for the very first time, to listen to your heart. When you do right, you're listening to your heart, and all righteous laws will be reflected in it. But it is not the law that is written on a book that causes you to do what you do. You do it because it's in your heart. And there are many things in your heart that you are given to do that in doing so would be in violation to written laws. But you have been given what you have been given for the purpose of manifesting it, so that others who do not understand these kinds of things can listen to your conversation and observe your actions, observe your walk. And this is the teaching mechanism that we have for one another. Practice what you preach. Now, just as you're going to run up against the righteous and just carnality, there's this thing also that you run up against, which has to do with Caesar and has to do with God. Caesar be representative of man, God be representative of all things that are good. Man represents selfishness. So you heard it said that render to Caesar unto Caesar those things that are Caesar. And I'm sure that many of you have used this argument to justify many things that you do that you perhaps inside think are not the proper things to do. But I ask you, who is Caesar? Caesar is man separated from God. So if anyone tells you render to Caesar those things that are Caesar, he's saying, or that statement is saying, that if you are a follower of Caesar, then you obey Caesar and what Caesar said. But no man can serve two masters. So if you are an observer of that which is referred to as God, which represents something totally different, then do that. You do it. It has nothing to do with walking straddle the fence so you can protect your butt. No, it is not protecting your butt. It is about glorifying change. It is about glorifying something that is better. You realize that this nation was founded on some real ugly things. So ugly I won't even mention to you right now, but they were founded on it. And over time those things change. Why? Because it took this long for people to grow up. It took this long for people to force people to grow up. Well, I mean, nothing was wrong with what is right. It was there all the time. But people just missed it. So what we're trying to tell you to do, what I'm trying to tell you to do, what God is calling all of us to do, is to jump ahead of this. To know it and jump ahead of it. Stop playing the game that we've been set up to follow. Sure, it's not your fault. It is not your fault. It is something that you were born into. And just like if you lived in Russia, you would be speaking Russian and not English. And you were born up in a system like this. And this is what you believe. And for me to speak to you about a different system is kind of hard for you to believe. In fact, you will not believe it if I'm not practicing the system that I'm trying to introduce you to. So that means that I am going to be breaking a lot of laws if they violate what my heart says do. I have one interest, in that God gets glorified here on this earth. And God getting glorified on this earth means that you, the people, change your mind about who you're going to follow. You have been following something that gives you pain and suffering. You worry about your bills, your house notes. You worry about your kids going to school. You're worrying about your retirement. You're worrying. And everything is costing you money at a time when money is hard to get, especially if you got a little bit to save it, because everything, prices and everything are constantly going up. And so can you imagine what it would be like, say a few years from now, say when your children are beginning to come into the flow of life? Can you imagine what it would be like if we still on that same path? Well, if you can, I want you to also imagine this. Imagine that you flip the script. Imagine that you change your mind. Imagine that your objective for life was to live and to let live. And that as much as necessary to cooperate with others to benefit the common cause of you all, you've given it wholeheartedly. And your special interests are those of your own, and they affect no one else negatively for your pleasure. Imagine that. Now, imagine that you own your home and that it is just like you want it to be. All the advancements, whatever you like, whether it's nothing or everything that you can put in a house. Imagine it. Your landscaping, beautiful. Imagine that. Imagine you having access to education, unlimited and unrestricted. Imagine your kids not having to worry about, can they go to college? Can they dress proper going to school? Not having to worry about any of those things. Imagine the doors open that whatever you desire to do, not what is paying high dollars, but what you desire to do, that gives you the greatest pleasure. The doors open. All you got to do is walk right in and be the king of you in that which you do. And you would see something magnificent happen. You would see that enough of the goods and services that we as people have so desired all of our lives will be there at our fingertips. All we have to do is enjoy making it. Whatever it is, enjoy doing our part. And it will manifest enough of all those things. So all we have to do is just reach out and touch. Ladies and gentlemen, you can't tell me that doesn't sound a zillion times better than what we have to go through life. Well, I'm going to tell you something. That's because that's the way God intended for it to be. Why I say God? Because in it, every last one of you have those things you dreamed of. Not some, every last one of you. And for something like that to happen, it got to be of God, because you couldn't do it and I couldn't do it. But yet here it is, staring us dead in the face, and all we got to do is jump in it. And that which we have hoped for will happen today. Well, when we talk about heaven, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about, and this is heaven part 2, we're talking about doing those things, causing those things to happen, to make this world better. Now, we have heard all kinds of stories. Some people call them theorists. And everything that they're thinking is nothing but a conspiracy theorist. Well, it doesn't matter if it's real or if it's not. What we have is what we have. And it is not good enough. It is not sufficient enough. We don't have to worry about if there's some group of men somewhere trying to take over the world, trying to establish a new world order where they make many of us slaves and put in concentration camps while they swindle the nations of the world down to a small population that they feel adequately billable, and turning the rest of us into slaves or slaughtering. We've heard all this kind of stuff. Is it true? It doesn't matter if it's true or not. If you're not willing to change to make things right, then all of these things will come upon you. One or the other, and then the other. It will happen unless you change. And I'm begging you, why am I begging you to change, to live? Why am I begging you to change, to live? Why am I offering these principles to you? To encourage you, to wake you up, to let you know that you've been lied to, and that things do not have to be this way, and that you have the power. You have the power to change things, all of you. And if you're going to exercise that power of change, why not do that which is best for everybody? And what is there that's better about any plan that leaves another out, or shortchanges another? What is great about such a plan? tell you what, if you were in that losing end, you would say nothing. So all you got to do is place yourself in the position of the person that's losing, and you come up with a same answer. And that means do something about it. Well, I just wanted to take a little bit of that time to complete Heaven, and this was Heaven 2. Eddie Marcus, spokesman and advocate for basic human rights for all people, where you have the opportunity and the reality of experiencing your dreams today, right here where you live, your dreams as an expression of your oneness with the Creator, God. Bye-bye.